Hey, Candace here. You might not know this, but I'm not only the host of this show, I am actually also a life coach. Okay, you might be thinking, seriously, Candace, who isn't a life coach these days, charging an arm and a leg for their services? I totally get it. I was right there with you before I had my own coach and started coaching myself. It almost made me sick to want to even call myself a life coach to begin with, until I realized that my specific style of coaching was actually quite different from the rest. When coaching with me, you don't feel like you're getting something that is copy paste. You don't feel like you're not having a real conversation with a real human being. Every session is customized and tailor-made to the person that I'm talking with. We laugh, we cry, and we journey together every step of the way. But the most unique thing that I bring to the table is that I invite God into the space. That's right. I do faith-based life coaching for anyone of any age, in any tax bracket, and at any step in their spiritual walk with God. And even if you don't know God, but are curious about Him and why He'd be a crucial aspect for your breakthrough, I can coach you too. So, if you feel trapped living an unfulfilled life and are ready to shift your perception to break free of your shackled mindset, if you feel that now is the time to finally live the life you have always dreamt of living and are ready to do whatever it takes to make that your reality, if you are excited about the idea of living life as your whole self, free to step boldly into anything you were created to be, and if you are ready to embark on the journey to self-acceptance, complete fulfillment, joy, fearlessness, confidence, true love, and so much more, then head to www.candaceolushala.com to fill out the application form today for the possibility of us working together to reach your breakthrough to live your most fulfilled life for the rest of your life. You're listening to First Paso. Welcome to First Paso, a show where we learn together how to take that first paso toward becoming the best versions of ourselves. My name is Candace Olushala, and I wanted to touch on something that happened in my state, the state of Kentucky, a couple weeks ago, and that would be the flooding in eastern Kentucky. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because, again, this is home for me, and I have been really heartbroken with the natural disasters that have been going on in my state. First, at the top of the year, actually towards the end of 2021, if you remember my episode of me talking about how I was flying during the tornadoes that happened in Kentucky, and I was flying into Louisville, Kentucky at that time. That side of Kentucky, that would be Western Kentucky. I grew up in Western Kentucky, and that area of Kentucky got hit horribly, and it put us in a state of emergency. Well, fast forward about 6 months later, and now Eastern Kentucky has experienced a ton of flooding. We also experienced deaths in the flooding just as much as we did in the tornadoes that occurred. And we had over 35 deaths in our state, and there's still a ton of people who are not accounted for. So I wanted to let people know that this is going on in Kentucky, United States of America, and how people can be a part of the recovery process. So I'll make sure to put some links in my show notes below. But if you want to check out information on how to help out my state at this time, because we are under another state of emergency and it's just really devastating what's going on. Our governor, Andy Beshear, he has a Team Eastern Kentucky Flood Relief Fund. So if you go to secure.kentucky.gov/form services/finance/EKY flood relief, you can find out ways to assist those that are impacted by the floods and the severe weather system that started on July 26th. And all of those donations to the team, they're all tax deductible, and donors will receive a receipt for tax purposes after donating. So you can either do it online, you can mail it in if you want to. And then there's also through the Red Cross. The Red Cross, if you go on their website as well, they have ways to support and help out. And anything that you can do to support our state at this time would be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for even caring about it. And know that our state is not the only state affected by these floods. I know that St. Louis, I have friends in St. Louis, and so I was worried about those living in their state and surrounding states as well. So if it's not my state, look into other states that are still trying to figure out what to do after these devastating floods.
Have you heard about Anchor? Well, it's one of the easiest ways to create a podcast. Not only is it 100% free, but it has a variety of creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or a computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast to other sites such as Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many others for you. And Anchor even allows you to make money from your podcast without a required minimum listenership. So whether you've been in the podcasting game for a long time or you're completely new to it, Anchor is so user-friendly that it's basically your one-stop shop for making a podcast. So what are you waiting for? Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
So, for today's topic, I wanted to talk about the victim mentality. Man, this topic, let me tell you, I'm always honest about the topics that I do. These are usually topics that have affected my life. And so I want to be transparent about that. So, victim mentality. What is victim mentality? It's exactly as it sounds. It is when in your mind you are the victim and you play off of that mindset as you navigate through life. Now, having a victim mentality can look a number of ways. When we have victim mentality, sometimes it's because we have been victimized in some way, shape, or form. And honestly, it doesn't really matter what language you speak, what culture you come from, your background, the color of your skin. Everyone, in some degree, has experienced being a victim. Even if you haven't really noticed it, even if you didn't really think of it that way, people have been victimized all across the world since the beginning of time. So, this is not necessarily a concept that people have absolutely no idea what it's like to be a victim. However, being a victim can come in a number of ways, and some can be more severe than others. So, with the victim mentality, a lot of that is the mindset that you basically identify as a victim, which can cause problems in the future depending on how you utilize that knowledge that you tell yourself that you are a victim or that other people tell you you are a victim. Now, I don't want to sound harsh. I don't want it to sound like if you've been victimized that should be discarded or discredited. Absolutely not. It really just depends on the situation. I have been victimized in my life in a variety of ways, and there was a season of time in my life where I constantly saw myself as the victim, as lesser than, as broken, as damaged goods, as nothing of significance in the world. And I played that up in my life, not just to other people, but within myself, and just made it a big, monumental part of my life, which made it hard to progress through life in a way that I thought would allow me to heal. I didn't think healing was possible. I thought once a victim, always a victim. So having a victim mentality can get a little weird. I don't know how else to say it, but it can get strange depending on the mindset of the victimization. So sometimes you want to not be a victim at all. It's like, I hate being a victim. This sucks. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. Don't want it. Don't want to be called a victim. I hate this. This is horrible. I just don't know how to get rid of it. That's one mindset, right? Then there's the mindset of, I don't necessarily want to be a victim. However, there is a part of me that likes the attention that I can draw to myself because of the validity of being a victim, or because of the validity that I've given myself of being a victim. Whether I'm a victim or not right now, in the manner that I have in my mind, is true or not is irrelevant to me, because it's my truth, it's my reality. It's the world that I've created in my mind, to where at the center of it, I am the victim. I am a victim. So the weird part about that is that you kind of live in this world of wanting to heal, but then not actually wanting to heal. And I say that because you have this space, we can have this mindset, this space in our mind where we're saying, I wouldn't necessarily know what to do if I was healed. I wish I could somehow be healed and also still get what I want. And the way that I'm getting what I want right now is through the utilization of being a victim, or at least I'm trying to get what I want through this process. So let me see if I can make this an example. So let's say you're in a bad relationship and someone is being very abusive to you, whether that's verbally, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, sexually, all the ways, right? And you hate that space. You hate that. But then when you speak with people, you might say something like, well, you just don't know what I'm going through, which is true. However, when you say that, you're trying to invoke a response. You're trying to get someone to say something that makes you feel wanted and loved in a healthier way and gives you some sense of comfort. And that's not necessarily false, that you need that you need a comfort, you need care. But if you could get it from a space that didn't require you being a victim as well, and that victimization being an actual truth for you and it's damaging your life, it would be so much better to just have people in your life that just genuinely cared, that were looking out for you, they were in your corner, and they just wanted to support you through life. Everyone needs love and care and attention and support, but feeling like the victimization can allow you to kind of play up being victimized to get that love and care and attention, versus just being in healthy relationships holistically through and through, and people supporting you, period, and just being attentive to you and you getting to do the same because you're in a healthy space to give back, versus being a victim and not always feeling like you can give back because you're so desperate for the need of the things that you're lacking due to being victimized. So it's like a whole situation. It's a weird space to be in. And the reason why I can speak on this, especially that weird space, is because I literally lived that most of my life up until 2020. I had this weird space where I didn't like being a victim, and there was a list of ways that I saw myself as a victim. I felt victimized. I was perpetually victimized by people. And then at the same time, I didn't know if a world outside of being a victim was possible. So I figured I should just play up how I'm feeling and kind of manipulate my relationships with people so that way they could give me a level of comfort that I genuinely actually needed. I was just trying to get it from an unhealthy mindset because of what I had been going through and had not healed from as of yet. So once I realized that I could heal, that I could actually choose to want healing enough to go on the journey to finding ways to heal in a healthy, holistic manner, then my mindset of being the victim started to shift. And part of me really enjoyed that. And then part of me was slightly scared because I didn't know, one, if this was going to work out by the end, or two, whether or not I would receive that love and attention that I really desired in life on the healthy side of life. I knew how to manipulate it and get it from the unhealthy side of life, but I didn't know if that was possible if I were to be healed and whole and happy, or if I would even need it. So, therefore, people maybe wouldn't think to see if I needed anything. So I didn't know if I was just basically gonna have to be manipulative on the other side, and I wasn't sure if I wanted that fully, but I leaned into the healing process anyway because it was making me feel better inside, whether or not I was being victimized. And I enjoyed that more than stopping in the middle of the process of finding out if full healing could be mine and holding on to the unhealthy side of being a victim that had me try to get people to see me because I was in an unhealthy mindset of being a victim and having victim mentality. So hopefully that makes sense. And if you've experienced it, I think you know what I'm talking about. It's a uncomfortable yet comfortable space to be in when you're kind of sitting in the idea of not wanting to be victimized, but liking how you can draw people to give you the things that you actually need. It's strange, but it's human. It's like, how do I heal but then not heal? Is basically the question that you end up asking yourself. So I wanted to give you 3 questions, very honest questions that you can ask yourself or that you can ask on behalf of someone else or ask someone else to see if you are not only experiencing a mindset of victim mentality, but also if you're actually in that space, if you realize that you are, what you actually want to do with it at this time. So, obviously, you would have to acknowledge whether or not I have victim mentality. Now, if you've realized, yeah, I think I definitely have a victim mindset where I literally identify as a victim and I use that as a badge, whether it's a badge of honor or just a badge, your scarlet letter, if you will, in my life. Ask yourself or ask a friend who you realize might be in that headspace these 3 questions. Question number 1: why do I feel like I'm a victim? What is it that is causing me to feel this way? Was there an incident? Was there a series of incidences? Was there a lack of something? Was there too much of something? Was I being overlooked? When did this happen? How long ago was it? Those are really good questions to ask yourself. Why do I feel like I'm a victim? Can I justify it in my mind and in the scenarios that I've faced or am currently facing to where I think this is a valid assessment of myself? So that's question number 1. Question number 2 is, how do I feel about being a victim? And now this goes into that whole scenario of like, I hate it. I don't want to be a victim. It's horrible. Or the, I don't necessarily like how I feel, but I like how I can use that to try to get things that I actually need, but in an unhealthy way. So being honest with yourself about the feeling, the sentiment behind the victim mentality. Do you actually enjoy it or do you not like it? Or are you somewhere in the middle of that? How do you actually honestly feel about being a victim? That's question number 2. And question number 3 is, if I were to never consider myself a victim ever again, would I really be happy about that? And why? Or why not? Now, this is that headspace that I remember being in when I decided I wanted to go through my healing process. Was I ready to give up the manipulative tricks that I was using to get the attention that I really honestly desired for the sake of never being a victim again? Am I ready to move on from that and see myself in a completely different light? Or does it actually scare me to live a life outside of being a victim because I don't know anything else other than being a victim? And honestly, some people choose to stay a victim because it really truly is all that they know, which is very, very sad. And some people feel like there isn't any other option but to be a victim and to be labeled that way because of how they're feeling. And sometimes it's because it's still going on and they can't see a way out, which is also horrible. I understand many aspects of that, unfortunately. But you always have a choice in your mind to not be the victim. In fact, one of the best ways to shift from the victim mentality of saying, I am a victim, is to change how you word it and say, I have been victimized, but the victimization doesn't define me. So I actually want you to take that moment right now and repeat that after me. And I want you to make it personal. Say it as though you're speaking to yourself or you're speaking to a friend and you want to pour the truth into them, right? So I would say, and now repeat after me, Candace, you are not a victim. You have been victimized, but the victimization does not define who you are. Isn't that powerful? Just that alone lets you know that you don't have to say that being a victim is your DNA. It happened to you. This is life. The world is filled with unfair opportunities, and no one is immune to these things. It doesn't even matter if you are straight A student. It doesn't matter if you are the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. It doesn't matter if you are a Grammy Award winner. It doesn't matter if you're an EGOT winner. It doesn't matter if you have your own TV show. It doesn't matter if you're a mom of 27 kids. It doesn't matter. Everyone has the opportunity to say, I'm not a victim, but I have been victimized, and the victimization is not a part of my identity. It simply is something that has occurred in my life that has affected me in a negative way. And that's what I'm going to label it. End of story. Now, this can be a difficult process to wrap your mind around, especially if it's something that you've sat in for a really long time and you really believed this. But I want to encourage you today. Take that first paso. Take that first step to just change the language. Even if you're in the middle of a dangerous situation, and if you are in the middle of a dangerous situation, find someone to tell. As scary as that is, I am speaking from experience. It might seem impossible. It might seem that to do so is actually going to put you in more danger than not. But I promise you, if you can find even one person to wave the white flag to say, hey, I need help, please come get me, please come help me, you will be surprised how life will benefit you just for having the bravery to somehow sneak a signal to someone to let them know that you need help. But if you're not necessarily in a situation where you need to get out, but you have been victimized in the past in such a way that it still pains you to this day, I encourage you to go on this process and that you don't do it alone. Find someone like a life coach. I am a life coach if you need one. You can always reach out to me. You can get a mentor, a psychiatrist, a therapist, a pastor, a teacher, a trusted coworker or friend, a parent, a sibling, someone that you really honestly trust or that you want to try to trust to help you go through this process. And it takes healing and surrendering to the process of healing. And that also takes surrendering to honesty towards yourself and life and the situations and letting go of things that you probably don't want to let go of because you feel like letting go would then be giving someone else power. And yet, all it does is give you room to receive more blessings in your life and not having someone or a situation that's already passed have control over your life. So, I want this for you, and I hope that you want this for yourself. I am excited for you, and I'm proud of you for taking so many first pasos in your life. We've gone on a really long journey the last 2 years, and we have experienced opportunity after opportunity to make first pasos, and we're doing it. We're doing these things together. So I'm excited. I am hopeful, and I want to hear from you guys because this is a part of life that we take these journeys together and support each other through the ups and downs and the evolutions of our healing journeys. Anyway, that's it for today's episode. If you have any topics, suggestions, questions, if you want to be a guest on the show, go to www.firstpaso.com/podcast and you can submit your information there and find the guest application form there as well. Send me anything on social media. You can find me at Candace Olushala. I would love to hear from you. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. Take care. God bless. Stay safe. And we'll talk soon. Besitos. Bye.